The night exploded, silence ripped apart by a sonic boom, shaking the ground. Tom, jolted awake, scrambled out of his remote cabin. Debris rained down, flames licking the night sky. Adrenaline surged through him. He knew that sound, the unmistakable roar of a ship plummeting from orbit. Curiosity warred with fear. He should stay put, call the authorities. But the sight of the burning wreckage, a beacon against the darkness, drew him in. Grabbing his flashlight, he plunged into the woods, each step fueled by a growing sense of unease. The crash site was a scene of devastation. Twisted metal, spewing smoke, glowed with unnatural heat. Tom cautiously approached, his heart pounding. Amongst the wreckage, a figure lay crumpled. Not human. It was humanoid, but its skin was a pale, shimmering blue. Its chest rose and fell in ragged breaths, a gash oozing green fluid on its side. Its large black eyes flickered open, filled with pain and terror. Tom froze, caught between instinct and the impossible reality before him. The alien's gaze, sharp and wary, met Tom's. Its thin lips pulled back from sharp teeth in a silent snarl. Tom raised his hands slowly, a gesture of peace. "Don't be afraid," he said, his voice hoarse. The alien flinched at the sound, its hand instinctively moving towards a gleaming object on its belt. It spoke, a series of guttural clicks and whistles. Tom shook his head, fear twisting in his gut. They couldn't understand each other. He pointed at himself. Tom, then at the alien, hoping for some sign of recognition. The alien hesitated, its gaze flickering between Tom and the surrounding woods. It spoke again, its voice softer this time, but the fear in its eyes was unmistakable. Tom knew he should back away, call for help. But the desperation in the alien's eyes resonated within him. He'd seen that look before in the eyes of wounded animals he'd rescued. The need for help, the raw fear. Tom took a step closer, slowly, carefully. He pulled out his water bottle, offering it to the alien. "Water!" he said, hoping the universal language of need would translate. The alien watched him, suspicion battling with thirst in its eyes. Slowly, cautiously, the alien reached out, its hand trembling. Its fingers, long and slender, brushed against Tom's. A jolt like static electricity ran up Tom's arm. The alien hissed, pulling back as if burned. "It's all right," Tom said, stepping back. The alien stared at its hand, then back at Tom, a flicker of curiosity replacing some of the fear in its eyes. It cautiously took the water, its throat working as it drank. Tom watched, his mind racing. He just made contact with an alien who was injured, alone and terrified. Logic screamed at him to run, but something in the alien's eyes, a vulnerability that mirrored its fear, held him there. A distant rumble, growing louder by the second, shattered the fragile peace. The alien's head snapped up, its eyes wide with terror. It scrambled back, clutching its side, hissing at Tom. The rumble became a roar. Helicopters. Tom's blood ran cold. They were coming. He looked from the approaching lights to the terrified alien. He couldn't let them take it. Not like this. He grabbed the alien's hand, pulling it up. "We have to go now." The alien resisted, pulling away. Tom pointed to the helicopters, their searchlights cutting through the night sky. He mimed running, hiding. The alien hesitated, then nodded, understanding dawning in its eyes. They ran. Tom, leading the way, pushed through the undergrowth, the alien's hand surprisingly strong in his grip. Branches whipped at them, the sounds of their pursuers echoing through the forest. They couldn't outrun them, not on foot. They needed a new plan. Section 5. A desperate flight. Tom pulled the alien towards a steep incline. "Up there!" he gasped, pointing to the rocky outcrop above them. The alien, struggling to keep up, stumbled. Tom caught it, hauling it along. They had to get out of sight. They scrambled up the rocks, the rough terrain treacherous in the dark. Reaching a ledge, they collapsed, chests heaving. Below them, the helicopters circled, their searchlights sweeping the forest floor. They were temporarily safe, but trapped. The alien looked at Tom, its chest rising and falling rapidly. It touched its side, green fluid staining its fingers. It was getting weaker. Tom knew they couldn't stay here long. He needed a new plan, and fast. Looking around, he noticed a narrow opening in the rock face behind them. It was a long shot, but it might be their only chance. "Come on," he whispered, urging the alien towards the opening. It was time to face the unknown, together. Section 6. Finding Common Ground. The passage was narrow, claustrophobic. Tom crawled on his hands and knees, the alien close behind. The air grew thick, heavy with the scent of damp earth and something unfamiliar, metallic. Tom shone his flashlight ahead, the beam swallowed by the darkness. They emerged into a cavern, vast and echoing. Strange bioluminescent fungi cast an eerie glow, revealing intricate carvings on the cave walls. The alien stopped, mesmerized. It touched the wall, its fingers tracing the alien symbols. It turned to Tom, its eyes filled with a strange mix of sadness and longing. It pointed to the carvings, then to itself, and then to the sky. Tom understood. This cave, these carvings, they were a message, a history of its people. Stranded here, light years from home. Tom felt a surge of empathy. He might not understand the alien's language, but he understood loss, the yearning for home. He placed a hand on the alien's shoulder, a gesture of comfort. The alien looked at him, its eyes softening. For the first time, Tom saw gratitude and something else, trust. Section 7. The hunters close in. The sound of boots on stone echoed through the cavern, heavy, purposeful. Tom and the alien spun around, their moment of connection broken. Two figures emerged from the passage, their faces obscured by the shadows. Military. "Hold it right there!" one of them barked, their voices amplified in the cavern. Their hands were on their weapons, fingers hovering near the triggers. Tom felt a surge of anger. They weren't here to help, they were here to capture. The alien hissed, backing away, its hand instinctively going to its belt. Tom knew what it was reaching for, the gleaming object he'd seen earlier, a weapon. He couldn't let it escalate. "We're not armed," Tom said, raising his hand slowly. The soldiers didn't hesitate. They advanced, their weapons trained on Tom and the alien. "Get on the ground, hands where we can see them," the other soldier ordered. Tom knew this was it. They were outnumbered, outgunned. But he couldn't let them take the alien, not without a fight. Section 8. A bond forged in danger. "Run!" Tom yelled, shoving the alien towards a side tunnel he'd spotted earlier. The soldiers hesitated, surprised by his sudden move. It was a brief window, but it might be enough. The alien, confused for a moment, ran. The soldiers recovered, firing their weapons. The sound echoed deafeningly in the confined space. Tom dove to the side, narrowly avoiding the stun blasts. He scrambled after the alien, adrenaline coursing through him. They sprinted through the tunnel, the sound of pursuit echoing behind them. The tunnel twisted and turned, the rough walls scraping against Tom's skin. He risked a glance back. The soldiers were gaining on them. Suddenly, the tunnel opened into another cavern. This one was different. A vast network of tunnels branched out in every direction like an underground city. The alien stopped, looking around in amazement. This was its element. Section 9. Rescue at dawn. The alien grabbed Tom's hand, pulling him towards a narrow crevice hidden behind a cascade of water. They squeezed through the opening, the sound of the waterfall masking their escape. The soldiers rushed past, their shouts echoing in the cavern. They were safe for now. Tom collapsed against the cave wall, gasping for breath. The alien, its eyes bright with gratitude, touched his arm. Tom looked at it, a slow smile spreading across his face. They'd done it. The alien pointed to the crevice, then to itself, then to the sky. Tom understood. There was another way out, a way to the surface. Hope surged through him. They might actually pull this off. They followed a narrow, winding passage, the air growing fresher with every step. Finally, they emerged into the cool, pre-dawn light. They were high on the mountainside, the first rays of sunlight painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Below them, a small, sleek spacecraft rested amongst the trees. Rescue. Section 10. The Twist. The alien turned to Tom, its eyes filled with a warmth he hadn't seen before. It reached out, touching his cheek with its hand. This time there was no jolt, only a strange sense of peace. It pointed to the spacecraft, then to Tom, then back to the rising sun. Tom's heart sank. He understood. This was goodbye. The alien was leaving, and he wasn't coming with it. He felt a pang of loss, a sense of something precious slipping away. He had risked everything for this alien, for this moment. The alien stepped back, its eyes filled with sadness. It spoke one last time, its voice soft, almost melodic. Then it turned and walked towards the spacecraft. As it reached the ramp, it paused and looked back at Tom and smiled, a human smile. The world tilted. Tom stumbled back, his hand flying to his mouth. His reflection stared back at him from the spacecraft's polished hull. Blue skin, large black eyes. It wasn't the alien who was leaving, it was him, he was the alien.